remember the name. Yeah, welcome to the X-Rated Sports Network, where the takes get loud and the truth get exposed. Let's talk about it. X-Rated Sports Network. If it's game time talk, we the ones who connect. X-Rated Sports Network, where the hot takes live and the truth get checked. East Coast talk, West Coast swagger. Stats on the board, yeah, the debate get louder. No filter talk, yeah, we calling the play. If it's sports conversation, we leading the way. From the hardwood to the gridiron plays, breaking every matchup, every headline debate. X-Rated Sports Network. Yeah, remember the name.
Ah, yes, it is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. It is Rick Kamla, it is Ashley Neville, and it is Dwight Walton. We are going to be joined by Hall of Famer Peter Vecsey at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Why, you ask? Well, he's a legend. He's a GOAT. That's enough. But it's Hall of Fame week. This weekend, Candace Parker and Amari Stoudemire, Doc Rivers, the whole 2026 Hall of Fame class will be going into the Hall of Fame. And so we'll talk with Peter about that. We'll talk with Peter about Don Nelson passing. We will obviously talk about that. May he rest in peace. We begin the show with Russell Westbrook retiring from the NBA. He announced his retirement with a silent interview as he walks through the Russell Westbrook Museum. One of the dopest things I have seen. Dwight and Doc were talking about it on the group chat, and I'm like, nah, Russ isn't retiring. There's no way that's true. Boom. I go to Twitter. I watch this video. I start tearing up. It took me back to Kobe's Dear Basketball. That ish makes me cry every single time. I got misty watching the Russ video, or maybe it's just the dust in here. I don't know. You guys tell me. Before we dive in and kind of talk about stuff, I want you all to take a little look at this clip right here.
Before the MVP, before anybody outside of Los Angeles knew his name. Because why not? This was the next chapter. The Sonics made him the number 4 pick in 2008. No one in OKC could have told you what he'd become. And this is the one people point to, like it explains everything. It doesn't. Well, not really. Russ, what kept you going all those years? What made you get back up night after night when the whole league had a highlight reel of you falling down? Yeah, I figured that.
Russell Westbrook does not say one word in that video, and it's absolutely perfect. Let's just react to that for a minute here, and then we'll get into our topics here. Dwight and Ashley, just reaction to Russ retiring, the video that you saw. Dwight, go first, man.
You know, it's pretty clear to me that he has been thinking about this for a while. He and Michael B. Jordan must obviously have a relationship. For him to be the one that does the voiceover for this piece tells me that Russ is at peace with his decision. He understood his place in the NBA at this time. Whether we believe it or not, whether it was unfortunate or not, Russell Westbrook definitely made his mark in the NBA. Here's a man that didn't cheat the game one bit, gave the honest effort on a night in, night out basis. He wasn't one that spoke much. So I think that is the point he is trying to get across with his retirement. Did he have things to say? Absolutely. But he never brought the attention towards him, is my point. He came into the NBA unassuming. He was not highly touted, although he did go number 4 in the draft to the then Seattle Supersonics. Definitely made his mark with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Prior to his being drafted number 4 overall, he was the Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year. I remember watching him play at UCLA, and I'm like, this dude is going to be a stud in the association. Not because of maybe what he lacked coming in, but his drive, his determination, his passion, his love for the game, how hard he played. Listen, I've been around basketball, as you guys know, for many, many years. Let's call it 45 years plus. And I've come across many talented players. But what I also come to understand, it was also a part of my career, is that even though you may be the most talented, if you play hard and you outwork your opponent, you're going to have a long-standing career in whatever you do. And Russell Westbrook was the epitome of that. This dude gave the effort every single night. We could talk about all the stuff that we didn't like about him, all the stuff that we liked about him, that we loved about him, all right? But again, to come into the league as unassuming as he did, albeit a top 4 pick in his draft class, he left the same way. He let his game do the talking. He had some controversial moments, but at the end of the day, the way he came in is the way he left. Unassuming, let the game speak for itself, a definite first ballot Hall of Famer. We could discuss that till we're blue in the face. I love the video, love the fact that Michael B. Jordan did the voiceover and that Russ didn't say a thing. That's exactly how I remember Russell Westbrook for his NBA career.
Yo, Ash, what's up?
You know, it's emotional because a chapter is finally closing. And I bet when he takes a look at where he started and where he ended up, you know, maybe out of all of us, he's the one that had that belief in himself that he could be where he got to. And like Dwight said, he's at peace with that decision and he looks happy. And that's all we could ask for. But like also what Dwight said, and pardon my French, but Russell Westbrook, he gave a shit. And he brought it every night. And you can say what you want about him, but there's that one clip that ESPN posted yesterday where he's grabbing all of those rebounds and setting his teammates up for different plays. And they may have missed a few shots, but it eventually came down to a 3-point shot. And that just shows the type of player Russell Westbrook is. You can't teach somebody talent or athleticism, right? You either got that or you don't. But when it comes to the effort, Russell Westbrook, he brought it every night. And you can't say otherwise, right? But also we want to talk about his athleticism. We've never seen a dynamic guard quite like Russell Westbrook. His intensity, wanting to win. And again, yeah, he may have not been perfect, but who is, right? First ballot Hall of Famer, 209 career triple doubles, which is an NBA record, averaged a triple double for 4 seasons. I mean, it is unheard of what this guy has brought to the basketball court. But even off of it, some of the most legendary memes. Remember in the locker room, this reporter's asking him a crazy question. And he goes, what? Like, I don't even know what you're talking about, man. Like, and you take a look at all his outfits, his post-game press conferences and his style. Like, he's brought us not just legendary performances on the court, but he gave us memes for days. And I'm just going to remember Westbrook as just a guy that just brings intensity on the court every night, that wants to win basketball, but he also has a sense of style that I think is unmatched. And I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss him. I wish that we could have seen him for 1 or 2 more years, or at least we knew ahead of time that he was going to retire. So maybe we could appreciate 1 more season, knowing it's his final season. But you know what? He went out on his own terms. I know teams like the Wizards and the Kings were considering him, but I'm glad he didn't wait for them to make that decision. He made that decision, went out on his own terms. And again, legendary career. I had the honor of meeting Russell Westbrook at a UCLA run back in 2017, I believe. And I got to see him a couple other times after that. Great guy, legendary career. And I wish him all the best and what's to come.
So let's get into, I love the soliloquies by both you guys. And Shams reported that the Kings and Wizards had offers, Russ could still be in the L right now. He chose not to take those offers. You know what they were: veteran minimum contracts, bench role. Obviously, the Wizards have some upside, but the Kings are the Kings. There's also a report from the Jerusalem Post that Russ is in advanced talks to join Israel's Hapoel Tel Aviv basketball team. I've said this many, many times. Reports that come from overseas, I've just been doing this for 30 years. It's not hate at all. It's just an observation. They are far less reliable than ours over here. I'm just going to leave it at that. So I have no idea if he's going to play in Israel or not, but it is being framed that Russ is retiring from the NBA. Okay, so we'll see. No. But here's the question: is Russell Westbrook the most disrespected NBA player? I've been saying it for years. It's not a yes, it's an F yes, okay? The fact that we are talking about Russ retiring after a 15-5-7 season is exhibit A as to how and why he's disrespected. I get it. He had an opportunity to stay. It's not legit money. Not for Russell Westbrook. It's a slap in the face. He's been dealing with the slap in the face for several years, despite putting out production that vastly exceeds the veteran minimum, okay? If a team had legit money for Russ, he'd be in the NBA right now, okay? He's not retiring. He's getting shut out. He's been putting up solid numbers as a role player, bench player, totally willingly accepted that role. Every coach, every teammate he's had, during this period says great things about him. But Russ is over the veteran minimum for a non-contender, okay? I've been saying for years, Russ should be at least $10 million a year. Or the $6 million taxpayer mid-level exception, the Shamit contract. He should at least be on that contract, okay? And this is what I really want to get into about Russ being disrespected. And I do need a minute here, but you guys are going to love this content, okay? I'm going to break this all the way down. We are paid to go beyond the surface. That's what your boy is doing, scalpel style right now. Recently, an anonymous NBA scout blasted Russ to Ira Winderman of Basketball Network, saying, "I wouldn't touch him in a million years." This is the first time I've ever done this on this show, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it and then pull him away. I couldn't resist. I just had to do that. Bleep you, buddy. Okay, the anonymous evaluator stated that Russ, okay, I got a little checklist here, and I'm going to go line item by line item. Can't be relied on. Cannot shoot consistently, plays entirely on his own terms, does not fit neatly into a team system, lacks reliable defense. That's the checklist by this asshat NBA scout that, of course, won't put a name on anything, okay? Let's take this one by one. Can't be relied on. It's the biggest lie I've ever heard, okay? Russ is 25th all-time in games played. Check this stat out. Russ had 70 documented injuries, 70. He missed 105 games in 18 years.
Incredible.
Let that sink in, okay? He's actually Mr. Reliable, you asshat, okay? 7 seasons with 80-plus games played, 4 with 82. I've made my case. Cannot shoot consistently. Duh. He never has been able to shoot consistently, yet he's right there for the Mount Rushmore of point guards, okay? Plays entirely on his own terms. These are hyperbolic lies. Entirely. That's like people saying always and never, right? We got to be careful with it. Really, is it every single time or is it most of the time? Okay, so Russ never plays with a team concept. He's always freelancing. That doesn't even make sense. So Russ never runs any plays as the point guard. Wrong. Okay, he never passes the ball. He almost averaged 7 dimes a game last year for sack, okay? Like, obviously, that's just a lie, and I sunk Homie's battleship. Does not fit neatly into a team system. More lies. Russ willingly accepted a bench role, willingly accepted a reduction in minutes, willingly accepted a huge freaking pay cut. Did not complain about it one bit, okay? He has willingly accepted turning into a defensive guard, being told to stand in the corner and wait on kick-out passes for a 3, and play out of the dunker spot. Russell Westbrook playing playing out of the dunker spot. What are we doing here? I mean, are you serious? Bottom line, most superstars at Russ's level will not humble themselves to do what Russ did. Okay? Did he fit with Sack last year? It's incomplete. It doesn't even matter, right? I mean, he did, but they suck. Did he fit with Jokic in Denver? Huge yes. Did he fit with T. Lue in LAC? Huge yes. Did he fit with the Lakers? No, but that's on Bron and Davis for bringing him in. It was never going to work. It was a bad fit from the jump. That's not Russ's fault. That's Bron and Davis's fault. Did Russ fit in Washington when he averaged a triple-double? Oh, hell yeah. Did Russ fit in Houston with Harden? Okay, people say he didn't. Russ averaged 27, 8, and 7 that year with Harden. Okay, Harden led the league in scoring at 34.3 and finished third in MVP voting. Yes, Russ and Harden fit. Did Russ fit in OKC with Durant? Let's see here. One MVP, led the league in scoring, led the NBA in assists twice, 3 straight seasons with a trip dub. That seems like things are fitting pretty nicely. Lacks reliable defense. Really? Does Luka play reliable defense? Does LeBron play reliable defense? You're going to bang on a 37-year-old GOAT who's played 18 years for not playing reliable defense? Bro, that's like talking trash about your grandma's 40 time. I mean, what are we doing here? Yes, Russell Westbrook is the most disrespected player in NBA history. Boom. And I rest my case. Ashley, go ahead.
I mean, you want to talk about not a reliable shooter. I mean, those 4 years that he averaged a triple-double, 31 points, 25 points, 22 points, 22 points. I don't really know what more you can ask for. Like, people are acting like he's averaging 8 points a game. This guy is still putting up efficient numbers. Yeah, I would question his late game decisions, of course. But as I mentioned before, no player is perfect, right? Every player has their flaws. He might not be a closer, but he's sure as hell going to compete. He's going to grab rebounds. He's going to set his teammates up. He's going to try to set his teammates up for success. Yeah, can he be a little erratic at times? Yes, he's excited, right? He plays with an intensity. He likes the game of basketball. But you cannot question, leading the league in the triple doubles 4 years in a row. I mean, that to me is absurd. But we can also thank Skip Bayless for this, for coining the term Westbrick and completely dictating and changing the narrative around Russell Westbrook. Extremely disrespectful, especially coming from a guy who's never played basketball a game in his life. And if he did, it was probably at a very small, low level. But I'll blame the media for it. I'll blame the media for coining these terms and disrespecting players. And then it obviously goes out to fans and then all the discourse on social media. But real hoopers, people who love the game, people who played with Russ, they know. They know Russell Westbrook is, one of the most dynamic, best point guards to ever play the game. And those people are irrelevant. The ones that want to say that Russell Westbrook is, Westbrick and he can't win and he can't do this, can't do that. I mean, you take a look at his record going to the playoffs. Yeah, maybe he didn't win a championship, but do you know how hard it is to win a championship? If you don't just rely on one person, it's an entire team effort. So, yeah, I think he is one of the most disrespected players. It's interesting how recency bias will play a role when you're determining the entire embodiment of a player's career. Everyone's going to look at the last 3 years and say, this is who Russell Westbrook is, and completely disregard everything Russell Westbrook's done his entire career. An MVP, a future Hall of Famer, all NBA multiple times, averaging a triple-double for 4 seasons. Like, he's put on a legendary career, and people will still find a way to disrespect him. They're probably just jealous that he never played for their team or their favorite point guard was never as good as him. But we know the real. We respect Russell Westbrook. And to all the hoop heads, I mean, that's all that matters, right? And as long as Russell Westbrook is happy with the way his career turned out, that's all that matters.
I love it, Ash. We're going to bring on a man named B-Dot right now. And there he is. All right. B-Dot, obviously, you have a major history with Russell Westbrook. I don't, and you talked about meeting him, right? That one time. But B-Dot, of course, famous NBA impersonator, did a Russell Westbrook imitation that went viral and exploded for him, and Russ loved it. And so, B-Dot, what's up, man? The question, and you can kind of generally talk about Russ retiring and that kind of thing. But what we're on right now, is he the most disrespected NBA player of all time? I think he is. Go ahead, B-Dot. Welcome to the show.
How y'all doing, man? I mean, by far, he's the most disrespected NBA player of all time. He leads every almost top 5 in every statistical point guard category you can name, and he still gets hate on. He still gets hate. I hate him, man. And he's my favorite player, one of my favorite players of all time, top 2. He's the one that started my career. If I never would have done the Russell Westbrook impersonation, I wouldn't be known as the NBA impersonator. So, like, man, I credit Russ on a lot of my career. Like, look at that. That's like, man, dog, man, and he's retiring. He's easily one of the most disrespectful players of all time. The numbers don't lie. He's a winning player. Saved that OKC organization when KD left, and it was like, I don't want to say left in shambles, but I mean, Kevin Durant, if not one of the top 10 best players of all time, end up leaving that organization, a new organization at that, and Russell was able to carry that torch and light a fire in an organization that they've never seen ever. I mean, yeah, they won a championship, but that time when Russ was there, he was averaging that triple-double, and him just being OKC. That time at OKC, I don't think will ever be matched. Like, and I like I said, they won a championship and all that, but that at that moment, at that time, that hype, the energy in Oklahoma was different. Like, and I appreciate Russ to this day, and the fact that he's getting his flowers now because he retired when he should have been getting his flowers before then. I hate that. But I'm just glad he's appreciated in general. And shout out to Russ, man. I was able to, when he won that MVP, I sat at the table. I should have brought this up to Vic too when we had Oladipo on the other day. I sat at their table when he won at the NBA Awards. I was able to sit at the table with the OKC Thunder with, Enes Kanter and all those Steven Adams and Oladipo. And that's when Russ, right when I got to Russ, he looked at me, he said, You with us, right? I said, yeah. He said, you better not, don't be on that bull, S. Don't be on that bullshit. Because I did a couple paid content creations with the Warriors. So, and he had seen that. He was like, hey, ain't no Warrior shit over here. We not on that Golden State. Are you with us? You with us? I said, yeah, bro, I'm here, bro. They paid me to do that, bro. Like, I love you, bro. I love you. Like, man. So, man, shout out to Russ. And I'm glad that he was able to retire on his terms, because he said he had a couple teams, I think it was the Wizards and the Kings, that offered him. But he was like, nah, I'm good. And it's sad to see. I'm going to miss Russ, man.
Yeah, me too, man. I like literally, I saw it on the group chat, and I was like, the next hour was sadness for me. I'm serious. Like, not sobbing and like balled up in the fetal position, but like it hit. Like, it was like a thunderbolt that I didn't want. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, wow, Russ is gone. Watching the video made me feel better. I got to ask you, as I also got misty, I got to ask you a question, B-Dot, because I was cracking up when the guy wasn't coming to help you out. You kept like getting up and then falling back in. Like, was that a Westbrook moment, or was that you just kind of ad-libbing a frustration thing as Russ would do it?
It was a little ad-lib, but also a moment too, because I remember that time with Ryan Lamb. He wanted a high five, and Ryan just walked past me. He was like, bro, give me a high five, bro. So I just added that. I'm on the ground. I'm trying to get up. Like,
that right there.
The crazy thing about the video, it wasn't a Russell Westbrook be like. It was Russell Westbrook's in-game impersonation versus player profile pic. That was the title. Like, that long title, because the way he plays on the court is so mean and ferocious. And in his player profile picture, he's just like, he's all happy-go-lucky. And that was the ideal of that. And it turned into a whole be like, Russell Westbrook be like. And like I said, it changed my life. Changed my whole life.
God bless you, man. God bless you. And I love that it was well received from Russ. All right, Dwight. B-Dot has taken the bait. I have also taken the bait. Yes, Russ is the most disrespected NBA player of all time. Are you going to say one of the or the?
I'm going to say one of the, because I will say this, and I try not to bring up his name as much as I want to, but I think LeBron James is the most disrespected player in NBA history. But that's a whole other discussion. And I want to be totally transparent, totally honest with my take on Russell Westbrook. And I didn't need Skip Bayless or other media analysts out there in regards to Russ to have an opinion on him. And I consider myself to be a pretty decent analyzer of talent or looking at talent. There's nothing wrong with Russell Westbrook and his talent, his effort, his ability, his work ethic. Nothing wrong with that. But I have had questions in regards to his style of play being conducive to winning. Again, I'm looking at it in its totality. Nothing wrong with his effort. I'm looking at it in its totality. And we have to be able to question his tenure alongside Kevin Durant and his tenure alongside Anthony Davis and the aforementioned LeBron James. For whatever reason, things didn't work out there. We could talk about fit. We could talk about a plethora of things, but I'll be on Front Street on this. I have always questioned whether Russell Westbrook's style of play has been conducive to winning. Yes, they got to the finals, talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder back in 2012. The young trio of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. Then things, for whatever reason, albeit he was putting up tremendous statistics, tremendous numbers. What was it, 4 of 5 years or 5 of 6 seasons to where he averaged a triple-double? Those were tremendous. And I want to say this to all of the fans out there. The fans who have belittled the triple-double, the same way fans have belittled the 1,000-yard rusher, the no-hitter, the perfect game. The fans who have done this, and again, I don't want to make it personal, but if it was so easy to do those things, why haven't many more players done those things? And for those that say that players, his teammates, used to clear out teammates so Russ could get rebounds, specifically on free throws, I respectfully disagree with that. Again, as a man who was an undersized power forward, playing at an elite level, the only level I didn't get to was the NBA. But I've played with NBA players. I understand what it is to be a 6'5.5", 6'6" player, to be able to rebound at a double-digit clip per game for my career. To see Russell Westbrook do that for 5 seasons in a row, to average a triple-double, which includes 10 rebounds per game at his height, which is what, 6'3", 6'4", is tremendous. And again, for all those that want to question and belittle the triple-doubles that he has gotten, shame on you. That's a you problem. But I will be the first to admit that I've always had an issue with his style of play being conducive to winning. I'm not questioning the effort and the talent and the ability. I'm just saying there were some nights, and Ashley spoke about it in terms of the decision-making, was that conducive to winning? Yes, he brought the effort that we loved as fans and media, but was his style conducive? And that speaks, Rick, to the anonymous general manager or executive talking about not wanting him on his team. And I think over the last 5 to 7 years of Russ's career, there were always questions by general managers and why it took them so long to eventually give him a contract as the season approached. If you're a wanted commodity, you get swooped up in the first 2 or 3 days of free agency. Over the last 5 to 7 seasons, Russ wasn't one of those guys. There had to be a reason. And I feel that they had the same opinion as I did, that while we don't question the effort, they believe that his style of play, for whatever reason, wasn't conducive and didn't lead to a winning mentality or a winning roster.
So I got to call a quick 20-second timeout. I'm going back here a little way. Quick 20-second timeout. Please. So it's dip clueless. So twice I've heard the real name of the guy. Y'all are giving him publicity, and I'd rather you didn't. And I love y'all, but I call him Dip Clueless because he is a dip and he's clueless, and he built an empire on ripping your favorite player, Dwight LeBron James, okay? And just stupid, mindless, moronic takes that somehow people in America liked, and he became a millionaire. But his name is Dip Clueless. I'm kidding, of course. You guys can call him by his real name, but I had to come in here with a quick 20-second timeout, just a quick little reset right there. Dip Clueless. No, we're not watching. All right, top 5 point guards all time. And I want to know, the reason we're doing this is Russell Westbrook in your top 5 point guards. It's not a requirement. It'd be cooler if he was, but it's not a requirement. That was a little McConaughey from Dazed and Confused, and not a great imitation either. All right. All right. Anyway, all right, here's my top 5 point guards all time. I'm going to go 5 down to 1, and I'm going to make it kind of quick here because a lot of the stats have already been given out. I'm going to try to give the ones that haven't been given yet. All right, Russell Westbrook is at number 5 for me. Yes, ahead of Kidd, ahead of Paul, ahead of all these guys. And it's very, very close, super debatable, okay? And I'm not mad. Like, you can go in a lot of different directions. I think the top 4 is pretty set. And from 5 to like 12, there's a lot of optionality, okay? So I got Russ at 5. Check out this stat, guys. He has led the league in assists 3 times, led the league in scoring twice. No other player has done that. Okay, guys have done both, but they haven't led the league in assists 3 times and led the league in scoring twice. Okay, that combo right there, one guy, Russell Westbrook. He's 5. Number 4, Oscar Robertson. Okay, the stat I want to give you on him. Okay, he averaged 26, 7, and 9 for his career. Those are LeBron James numbers. And actually a little better, right? When you get up to the 9 dimes. Insane numbers. Oscar is he's an MVP, a champion. I could go on. He's at number 4. Isaiah Thomas is at number 3. For a 6'1" point guard to be the man on a back-to-back champ back in the 80s and 90s is some Shohei Ohtani unicorn. You know what? All right. 19, 9, and 2 for his entire career. 2 is Steph. All right. And so I know the debate is Steph and Magic. To me, it's not a debate. To me, the debate is laughable, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. Steph is the most entertaining point guard and player that we have had in the NBA for me since Magic. Okay. That does not make him the go-to point guards, best shooter, blah, blah, blah. I get all that stuff. Here is why Magic is number 1 in the go-to point guard. Still, no matter how all you young people want to come try to steal it away from him in the middle of the night with a damn ski mask on. I mean, stop it. All right. It comes down to GOAT meter. All right. Magic Johnson's GOAT meter is 11. Steph's is 7. That's a difference of 4. It's no contest. You say, what's the GOAT meter? Your combination of rings, MVPs, and finals MVPs. Those are the holy grails of our sport, okay? Could talk about all the other kind of stuff. This is what it condenses to. The GOAT meter, okay? Magic, 5 rings, 3 MVPs, 3 finals MVPs, 11. Huh? Okay? Steph is at 4 rings, 2 MVPs, and a finals MVP. He should have 2 finals MVPs, but he doesn't. And it would still be 11-8, even if Iguodala had not been gifted that finals MVP. So that is my top 5. I want to go to B-Dot next year. B-Dot, who's your top 5 PGs?
My top 5 PGs, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas. Oh, man. Man, this number 5 is a toss-up between Russ and Chris Paul. And the reason why Chris Paul is because outside of LeBron James, he's one of the only players to ever go to an organization and take that organization to a playoff, make them a playoff contender instantly. Think of every team that he's been traded to or he's signed with, and the year before, how good they were. And when they got him, they became a playoff team. That OKC Thunder team, since we're talking Russ, they weren't that good at all. They got Chris Paul, and they became a playoff team. That Houston Rockets team became a title contender. Him in New Orleans, like every team he's been to, and that's the comparison I do to him with LeBron. Every team he goes to, he has some type of magic touch, and they become a playoff team. They become a legit contender. Numbers wise, you have to give it to Russ. It's kind of like the LeBron James situation. LeBron has the numbers on every damn thing, and he has to be in that top 5 conversation. So it's a toss up between Russ and CP3, but I'm gonna go with Russ. I'm gonna go with Russ. I have to. I have to. So my top 5 is Magic, Steph, Oscar, Isaiah, and Russ.
Oh man!
Wow,
But Chris Paul's a 5B. He's 5B, or he's 5AA, or 5A squared. Because he's right there. I seen a conversation yesterday. Who would be the better player if they were 6'8"? And it was between Kyrie and Chris Paul. And people were like, well, Kyrie would be Paul George, or he would be Kobe Bryant if he was 6'8". And then they were like, Chris Paul would be more like LeBron James or Magic Johnson at 6'8". And that makes so much sense because he's a pass-first point guard. But he also plays defense. We don't have many point guards that match the defensive intensity as they do on the offensive end. Like Russ is a great player, and he plays hard on defense, but he's never been known as, a lockdown defender. But he plays hard. He off the ball, steals, all of that. But yeah, Chris Paul was 6'8". That'd be scary. That'd be scary as hell. But yeah, my top 5. Yeah, Russ. I'm Russ at number 5.
All right, we have the same top 5, just different at 3 and 4 with Isaiah and Oscar. Dwight Walton.
Yeah.
Dwight Walton, you're next, man. Is Russ in your top 5? Break it down.
I'm going to get crucified for this.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You ain't.
So
you ain't.
I'm going to tell you right now, I do not have Steph Curry nor Russell Westbrook in my top 5 because I take the point guard position very seriously. And we need to have a true definition of what a point guard truly is. And it's been changing over the course of my basketball life. Now, if you want to call it bias for one of my choices, Steve Nash is obviously going to be in my top 5. But at number 5, I have Jason Kidd as one of the top 5 point guards in the NBA. Then it gets tricky because I want to put Steve, my boy, at number 1, but I can't do that because I have too much respect for Irvin Magic Johnson. So Irvin Magic Johnson is number 1 for me. Then from 4 to 2, it gets real tricky for me because, as I said, I have Jay Kidd at number 5. John Stockton probably at number 4. Steve at number 3. And Chris Paul at number 2 in terms of point guards, right? You could also throw Mark Jackson in there because he was the epitome of a true point guard in the NBA. Again, please, this is no disrespect to Steph Curry nor Russell Westbrook, but I'm talking about the true essence, the true definition, the leader, the one that initiates the offense, the one that gets everybody into their proper spots. I'm talking about being able to dominate a game without taking more than 5 shots in a game. For me, Steve Nash epitomized that. Steve could have 2 points and 15 assists and be clearly the best player on the basketball floor. Magic Johnson chose not to be the scorer that he could have been, but he averaged what? 18, 19 points per game for his career when he clearly showed that he could score 35, 40, 45 points in a game. I'm not sure of the numbers, although I should know this because I am a historian of the game. I don't know if Magic Johnson ever scored 50 points in a game. If somebody could look that up for me, please do. But to me, the point guard position is a very sacred one when it comes to me. So it's Magic 1, Stockton 2. Who did I have at 3? Steve at 3. I had Jason Kidd at 5. I forget who I had at 4. But anyways, those are my top 5, right? Magic, Stockton. Oh, Magic, Chris Paul, Steve Nash, John Stockton, Jason Kidd. Those are my top 5. Maybe it's not in the correct order, but I'm valuing the point guard position. Those are my top 5.
It just got wild and rowdy in here, and I'm not mad at you. We're in the barber shop. I think a couple of combs were just tossed at you, Dwight. I'm not quite sure. But no Curry, no Oscar, no Isaiah, no Russ in your top 5. Radical, but I like it. 46, by the way. 46 yep. For Magic Johnson. So good Sacramento call. Never Kings. Hit 50 in a regular season game. Ash, the floor is yours. Top 5 PGs.
Talk to us, Ash.
Russ in it.
I love that I got to hear all you guys go first and hear your arguments. Because now I kind of just feel like a judge where I can actually judge all 3 of you and I can make a better top 5. I don't want to say that I'm changing anything, but you guys all had some good arguments. But when we are looking at what a point guard truly does, I mean, Steph Curry's a shooter at the end of the day. And when you compare him to a Jason Kidd, yeah, Jason Kidd isn't a big time scorer and the flashiest guy, but he also played defense extremely well. He was 9-time all defensive player. And then you take a look at him also being a champion and averaging almost 9 assists per game. I can understand what Dwight's saying when we're talking about a true point guard, because it also comes with the role of having to defend the other team's point guard, right? I think that is something that also needs to be factored into this. It's not just about scoring and it's not just about shooting threes. There's so much more that goes into it. But I'll give you guys my number 1 first. I'm going to go number 1 to number 5. I think it's safe to say Magic Johnson. I mean, if you don't have him in as your number 1, I think you're crazy. I think you need to get checked out at a psych ward. There's something wrong with you. 5-time NBA champion, 3-time MVP, 3-time finals MVP, 12-time All-Star, 4-time assist leader, 10-time All-NBA. I mean, he averaged 20 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists per game. Without a doubt, Magic Johnson is a true definition of what a point guard is. You can't deny it. Number 2, ooh, these are tough because I mean, it's tough because again, Steph Curry is listed as a point guard, right? We could call him a combo guard, but he's listed as a point guard, and you can't take away from the fact that he's a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time MVP, averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, and when we talk about assists, 7 assists. That's still high in assists and setting up for his teammates. Okay. So I gotta say Steph Curry number 2. I have to. But then here's where things do get a little dicey. I'm going to put Isaiah Thomas, number 3, 2-time champ, 1-time finals MVP, 1-time assist leader. He averaged 19 points, 3 rebounds, 9 assists per game. I got to have Isaiah Thomas in there. Ooh, these next ones are difficult, man. Out of the question, I'm not going to have Russell Westbrook in my top 5. I'm just going to put that out there. He's not in my top 5.
Okay, that's fair.
I feel like we have to have the championships in there first. Or we need to, I don't know. Okay, so I gave you guys 3 that I'm
it's tough,
certain of.
Man. It's tough. I know.
I have the 3 that I'm certain of. Oh, I hate these because you could make. Okay, give me Oscar Robertson. Okay, give me Oscar Robertson. I'm going to take him number 4. 26 points per game, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. I mean, first player to average triple-double, legendary, champion, MVP, 12-time All-Star, all the things. 6-time assist leader. I think to me, he embodies what a point guard actually was. And the number 5. I'm going to take Jason Kidd for the simple fact that he's a champ, but he was also a 9-time all-defensive player. Again, he might have averaged 13 points per game, but he knew his role. You had a Dirk on your team who was going to score you all the points. You had that guy, but he played his role well. 9 assists per game, 6 rebounds. I got to take into account the 9-time all-defensive player of the year, or all defense. You got to take that third all-time in assists, champion. I mean, I think the championship to me and being 9-time all-defense gives him and solidifies that fifth spot for me. But again, all these guys, Chris Paul, I mean, I saw what he did with the Phoenix Suns, and he brought them to the finals. He made a lot of teams better. He made a lot of teammates better. I mean, I saw he took DeAndre Ayton, who went from pretty much a non-existent center to playing his role well to me, I mean, DeAndre Ayton, what he was doing in the playoffs was exceptional. I mean, I think Chris Paul, just having him on your team just makes you better. And seeing the way that he was able to work with DA and Book and all those guys, it's tough not to have Chris Paul there, man. But, I mean, he would probably be 6 for me. And then Russell Westbrook
both DeAndres. DeAndre Jordan, he got him that. DeAndre Jordan, he got him that bag. DeAndre don't got no post moves. Too. He got, man.
Yeah,
CP,
I mean,
that's tough. Yeah.
I mean, you take a look at DA. DA did not come into the league as, to me, the number 1 pick that he was supposed to be. And they struggled. I mean, and again, they didn't have a lot of veteran leadership on the Suns. There was a lot of young players. But then once you started, even Ricky Rubio made DA look better. And then you got a Chris Paul, and then they got you to the finals that year. I think it goes without saying Chris Paul does make everyone around him better. But yeah, this is tough. These are tough.
So, guys and girls, we are about 12 minutes from Peter Vesey joining us, Hall of Famer, of course. He's in the New York Basketball Hall of Fame and the Naismith Hall of Fame. And he's our boy, and we've had him on before. So we'll talk Hall of Fame with him and all of that. Let's talk about Don Nelson before we bring on Peter, and we'll certainly get a Nelly story or two from Peter. We lost Don Nelson last Sunday at the age of 86. More hard-hitting news, right? Like Don Nelson passed. Wow. It sucks. God bless him in his journey to heaven, man, and may he rest in peace. What a body of work. 2nd all-time in coaching wins, 3-time coach of the year. What I think a lot of people, and Ash, we know, as a 27-year-old, to still be able to go back and bring up Oscar, we appreciate, okay? You know what I'm saying? Going back, because so many people don't, all right? But Don Nelson, a lot of people don't realize 5 championships as a player, and he was a hell of a player. Phil Jackson used to talk about how smart he was and crafty he was and hard to defend he was. And I want Jason and Kai to run this video right here. Don Nelson has one of the most famous and iconic and important shots in league history. Check this out. Homie comes up, he's cut off, double team, ball squirts out. Find Nelly at the nail. There's Nelly at the nail, off the heel, and it goes through. That was some Johnny Most. I don't even know what the real live call was right there, but Johnny Most was howling at the moon and all of that. Back in 1969, this is Game 7 of the NBA Finals, okay? There's 1:17 left on the clock. Boston's up 1. This is Game 7 of the Finals, okay? This is Celtics-Lakers in 1969. Nelly hits the shot. They go up by 3. They end up winning 108-106. the last of Bill Russell's 11 titles in 13 years, the last game Bill Russell ever played. That you cannot get more historic than that shot. You just can't. It's absolutely insane. So let's go around the room. I got one more thing I want to say, but I don't want to completely bogart this thing. I want to go to Dwight Walton first coming out of here. Just remembering, honoring the legacy, the memory of Don Nelson, who we lost on Sunday, Dwight.
I'm glad you started off with the player. We're talking about Don Nelson. We have to, of course, most of us know him as a coach and an executive, but we have to respect him as a player as well. He just wasn't any player. He was an impactful player, as witnessed with that shot that we just showed on this program here. He was a terrific player, definitely one of the guys that starred in his role, but he just wasn't your normal role player. He was a major rotation player for all of those championships that he won with the Boston Celtics. But his post-playing career speaks for itself. To have 1,335 wins overall, he's one of the guys that was an innovator when it came to basketball. We always wanted to pigeonhole basketball as to where size and talent was important. And of course, those remain to be important. But he was the originator of going small, of trying to make teams make adjustments defensively. He didn't want to be, he made the adjustment by going small, but he wanted to force other coaches to have to adjust to his style of play. And of course, we ultimately saw Mike D'Antoni sort of perfect that style of play later on, and that's where we got the 7 seconds or less offense, and basically what we see today in terms of the game growing to a more positionless style of play, to where pretty much everyone, unless you have a special skill to be able to play in today's NBA, you have to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot, whether you're 5 feet tall or whether you're 7 feet tall. That's where the game is today. And it got all started, quite frankly, with the late, great Don Nelson. We all saw what he did with Golden State. We saw the run TMC era, to where they went small, forcing teams to have to be able to guard in space. It was an exciting brand of basketball. It was different, but it was fun to watch. And when you hear of all the testimonials coming from players that Don Nelson coached, the one in particular came from Dirk Nowitzki, to where he spoke about Don Nelson allowing him to play his game, not pigeonholing Dirk because he was 7 feet tall, because he wasn't the most athletic. He saw the gift that Dirk had, and that was his shooting ability, and then putting him in spots to where he knew Dirk could be successful. Dirk speaks very highly of him because of allowing him to play his game and not saying, you know what, you're from Europe, you're 7 feet tall, you're not athletic, you got to play the game on the low block. He didn't do that. He allowed players to play their game. The upset when he was the head coach of the Golden State Warriors over the Dallas Mavericks, that's a major part. Again, the style of play, Steven Jackson, Baron Davis, that whole crew, it was just fun to watch that team play. So it was the way he coached, his style of play. Unfortunately, he didn't win a championship, and that just would have put a exclamation point on his career, but he wasn't fortunate enough to get a championship. But his style of play, his brilliance, his IQ for the game, his style of play, what he brought to the game is what we'll all remember. And he did that to the tune of 1,335 career wins as a coach. Rest in peace to the great Don Nelson. My sincerest condolences to the family, the friends, and the fans of this iconic and legendary head coach, talking about Don Nelson. May he rest in peace.
Just wanted to let that breathe for a minute. What a soliloquy. Ash, you are next.
I think it just goes to show that we need to appreciate people a little bit more while they're here, right? Especially when, all these players that we see are going to be retiring in the next couple of years. I just think that we need to have more respect for these guys and everything that they've brought to the game. But for him to be a five-time NBA champion and to have as much success that he did as a head coach, to me, you don't see that every day, right? We've seen players try to coach or be GMs or take ownership of teams, and it doesn't always work out. But it just shows the type of guy he was. And as Dwight mentioned, he went through the evolution of the game of basketball and still was able to produce at a high clip and change and adjust with the times. And I think it speaks volume to him, not just as a coach, but as a person, and how much players respected him and liked to be coached by him. And yeah, he may not have won a championship as a coach, but he was 3-time NBA Coach of the Year, and he's the winningest coach behind Greg Popovich of all time. So I just think that goes to show who he is, both on and off the court. He's done a lot for the game, and we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him dearly, and my condolences to his family and to everybody else that he has impacted along the way.
Great smile, so full of life. Nelly, we miss you already, man. B-Dot, remembering the late, great Don Nelson.
Yeah, I'll make it quick, so I know we got Peter coming up. But when we talk about coaches changing basketball all the time, Don Nelson was playing modern basketball before modern basketball even existed. Like Dwight said, from the small lineups to the point forwards, pace, letting guys actually hoop. Nelly was doing this before half the league even understand what they were looking at. And like a crazy stat was he retired in 2010 as the winningest coach in NBA history, and that record held for almost 12 years until Pop passed it in March of 2022. So that just shows you. And if he would have won that ring, like you said, it would have solidified his legacy even more. It didn't even need to be solidified, but that would have been, the icing on the cherry on the top. And like Baron Davis, that's like one of my really good friends, and him, how he talk about Don and how he was just able to play and like hoop, a kid from LA, you feel me, coming out, being who he is and being able to play his game, like one of the point guards. And Baron Davis was ahead of his time before. Baron played in this game today 25 easily. He averaged 25 in his best year. And that was all, a lot of credit to Don Nelson and Nelly, letting them just play his game and, letting players hoop and be the players that they really are. So shout out to Don, RIP, and like Ashley said, condolences to his family. And yeah, man, we miss you, big dog. We miss you.
Do you guys remember, I did the fantasy show on NBA TV, and I had a campaign. Do you guys remember the Free Monte campaign? Do you guys,
Yeah.
I beat.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Dot, do you remember
Monte.
when I was holding up the sign Free Monte? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You talking about
Monte
Monte Ellis?
Yes.
Ellis, yeah, I was a big Monte advocate. What? I love Monte.
Yeah.
The Mississippi Reaper. Yeah, I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
So my gas tank is filled back up. You guys remember that? I mean, that was like a brief bit 20 years ago, and you guys still remember that. But you know that I did it a lot. So Monte Ellis caught my eye, right? And I see him flying through the air, and his stats were really good, right? And I'm like, but Nelly was kind of keeping his minutes down. And so I don't know, I think there was a vet playing over him. I forget the whole rotation right there. But you know us fantasy guys, like we want the digits and the talent evaluation. I'm like, Monte's ready to go. This guy's 25-5 with almost 2 steals. Come on, let's go. But Nelly wasn't really playing him the minutes to get to those stats. So it was frustrating me. And I kind of made jokes about it and stuff like that. But Yeah, I still have the sheet with the Sharpie drawn on it. Free Monte. It's so funny that you guys remember
Rick,
that. Yeah.
Can I let me just say, I know we got to bring the great Peter Vesey in here, but I want to say one thing, and I'm full transparency. Again, I remember when the Golden State Warriors were grappling with the decision: do they keep Monte Ellis or do they let Steph Curry shine? And when they traded Monte Ellis to the Milwaukee Bucks, again, full transparency, and I take pride in my talent evaluation. At the time, I thought Golden State made a mistake. But of course, you have to understand, in my defense, Steph was dealing with the ankle situation there. He hadn't had the surgeries yet, and he wasn't in the shape nor the condition that we see him that he's in today. So to your point about the numbers and the stats that Don Nelson was allowing Monte Ellis to put up, I truly questioned the Warriors' decision when they kept Steph Curry and traded Monte to the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, the rest, as they say, is history. But I had a ton of respect for Monte Ellis when he was with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, and just lastly, you mentioned Dirk. Remember, Steve Nash wasn't Steve Nash until he got with Nelly. That was even before D'Antoni, okay? Like, Nash was in Phoenix and a bench player, and then Nelly gave him the reins, and Nash became Nash, okay? You have the Run TMC. You have Anthony Mason, point forward, all this innovative stuff, man. Nelly, we love you. May you rest in peace. Now, let's bring on fellow Hall of Famer, Peter Vesey. He's in the New York Basketball Hall of Fame. He is enshrined in the Naismith Hall of Fame as well. And we welcome Peter back on to Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. And there's our guy, Peter Vesey. Peter, what's up, man? Welcome back. How are you, sir?
Get the camera straight, Peter.
I'm good. I'm trying. I always brought my guys with me when I did features at NBC. So where are they? Hey, can I add to the Monte Ellis thing and actually give you the facts and not guessing games?
Please.
You guys are guessing on that. So yeah, you are. I broke the story when Monte Ellis was traded to the Bucks, and the night before he was traded, I was talking to the manager. I don't want to say his name. I was talking to management of Milwaukee, and they were asking me who I would take, Monte Ellis or Curry, and I said either one of them would be great. I was a big Monte fan. It was not the decision of the Warriors, as you just said. It was the Bucks' decision. They decided to take Monte Ellis because of the reason you said. Curry's ankles were hurting, and so they wanted to go with the sure thing. And it was not received well with the Warriors dealing Monte. Monte Ellis and his wife, I think she was a policewoman. They were very tight with the owner. And I think they even went out on double dates. Then when he got traded, and then Lee came on the team, and it became Lee was double dating with the owner and stuff. But that's what went on at that time. And we could stay there, or we could go back to the fact that the Knicks could have had Curry. Donnie Walsh was the general manager or president of the Knicks. Everybody knew the Knicks wanted him. They had Dick McGuire down in Davidson, talking to the coach of Davidson, talking to the father of Curry. It was going to happen. That was going to be their choice. And of course, they were one pick behind the Warriors. But the Knicks could have had him. They could have had him because Minnesota had 2 number 1 picks prior to that. They took 2 guards. On those 2 picks, one was from Syracuse and one was Ricky Rubio. The reason they took
Johnny Flynn.
Yeah, the reason they took Flynn was that Rubio's agent was saying he was going to stay in Spain and he was not going to come and play in the NBA. So David Kahn was the general manager at the time. David Kahn and I worked together at NBC. He's an ex-sports writer from Oregon, and he decided to take two guards. But let's think about this. David Kahn went from NBC. He did his lawyering at NYU while he was working at NBC, and he was actually he was Bob Costas, research guy and stuff in the studio, and going to NYU, became a lawyer. Well, who hired him in the NBA? Who hired him? Donnie Walsh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Donnie Walsh took him to Indiana on the say so of Larry Brown. David went to UCLA. Larry Brown was coaching at UCLA at the time. You gotta know the background music here, and David owed everything to Donnie Walsh. He owed his career to Donnie Walsh. His job in Indiana was to be behind building the new arena. And when he was finished, it was beautiful. He did a great job. And then he got a job as GM in Minnesota. So you think for a second that Donnie Walsh couldn't have gotten the second number one pick from David Kahn? Come on.
Great point.
I know he could have. I'm not going to tell you who, but I know who he would have had to give up to get him, and it was not that much. Now, Donnie definitely called David and asked about the trade. Can he get a trade? And David initially said no, but he never went back to him. So when the Warriors took Curry, and everyone says everybody agreed that Curry was the guy. Nelson wanted him. No, he didn't go see him play. He saw film. He wanted him, and that was going to happen. But the Knicks were totally unprepared, although they knew the Warriors were going to take him. So they wound up taking, I can't even remember his name. They took a power forward who, basically had a short career in the NBA afterward. They already had two power forwards on the Knicks, and it was a travesty. Of course, we all know that had Curry been drafted by the Knicks, he would have torn his Achilles in the first practice, and that would have been his career. So.
A Peter Vesey zinger. All right, Peter. So we've been talking a lot about Russell Westbrook here. And so I would just love you to talk about his legacy. We debated, is he the most disrespected NBA player of all time? Two of us said yes, two of us said no, but he's up there. So legacy, and then where does he rank sort of in terms of great players being disrespected?
Well, I don't know your list of who was disrespected. There are a bunch of guys in the NBA who disrespected. Many of them, don't get into the Hall of Fame for God knows what reasons, or did not back in the day. They were so disrespected. When I went in 2009, I made a passion plea for Dennis Johnson to get into the Hall of Fame. Jamal Wilkes, Artis Gilmore. Numerous guys that had not been in there for ridiculous reasons that nobody could ever explain. Jerry Colangelo still doesn't explain, why Casey Jones is not in the Hall of Fame as a coach. It's a travesty. But disrespected. I agree. He was constantly disrespected in his later years, and I don't believe at all in the beginning or in the middle. How could he be disrespected? He's putting up triple doubles every season. That's a joke. And the way he played was, 100% effort, maybe 200% effort. I used a quote on Twitter today, or X, I'm sorry, about, Kobe Bryant telling me our last conversation that we ever had. He was telling me how much he loved Russell Westbrook because of his amperage. His amperage, every possession, whether it was defense or offense, he was off the charts, and Kobe loved him. I mean, he brought him up to me, and talked about him at length. So I brought up that quote yesterday on X. I'm a big fan. Do I know some of his flaws? Do I recognize him? Yeah, he had unsavory shot selection many times from 3-point range, or even when the shot clock had early in the shot clock, he would definitely become unhinged sometimes. Yeah, and then he'd go get his rebound, and then he put it in for a layup. So he could play for my team any time, and he's going to go in the Hall of Fame for sure on the first ballot. There's no question about that. Who else was on your disrespected team? I'm interested to know.
Dwight, we didn't really do a top 5 on it, but Dwight brought up LeBron James, and I thought that was a really good call because LeBron gets disrespected, and it's ridiculous.
Well, who does he get disrespected by? That's what I want to know.
Very good question. That's a good question.
A guy named Dick Clueless.
There is so many fakers out there on the internet that think that their opinion means something, and it's meaningless. So I don't put any value in that stuff. Does he anger people with his flopping like a disc? Yeah. I think the world soccer players, he was their patron saint. Because every time you looked up, one of those guys is taking a header. It was incredible. It's the first soccer that I've really watched since I actually covered Pelé when he played in the United States. It was one of my first assignments, covering Pelé and George Best and those guys, not knowing anything about the sport. And I still didn't. I started watching the World Cup, and by the second or third day, I was in authority. So, but I certainly, that's a joke. So I certainly recognize flopping, and LeBron, I don't know what he's thinking about. What? Stop it! Just stop it, please. Go away with that stuff. So that gets him disrespected now. But so he hasn't won as many championships as Jordan. Jordan never lost in the finals. Yeah, LeBron has. I mean, look. Yeah. Oh. That's a shame. So he's second or third to Kobe and Jordan. Well, that's huge disrespect. Really. Who else? Who was your other one?
Well, so we didn't really go beyond that in terms of. But I just want to ask you one more, and then we're going to go around the room here. Peter, we lost Don Nelson on Sunday at the age of 86. We were just talking about Nelly and remembering him and his legacy and telling stories and all that. You got to have a Nelly story or two, so here's your floor to do that.
You know what happens when I come on these type of shows, right? I don't give you what you want. It certainly gets me in trouble, and that's the way it is. But Don and I had a venomous relationship from the time that he screwed me, and I'll tell you the story. Couple times, but one was very, very impactful. So he's coaching Milwaukee in the playoffs against Philadelphia. Big time. I'm not sure if it was the finals of the East or the semifinals of the East. Doesn't matter. And I went to him before the series began. I think it began in Philly. I went to him in Philly anyway, and I said, I have information that's absolutely true, that Marcus Johnson went through rehab this past summer. And so he went through drug rehab this past summer, and I'm going to go with that. And he said, so let me understand this. So you're going to go and write a big story about Marcus Johnson when we're starting the playoffs. You're going to ruin the playoffs for us, for Milwaukee. How do you feel about that? You feel good about that? Stuff like that. He definitely, intimidated me, tried to make me guilty, and it worked. So I didn't print it. I said, okay, fine. I'll print it. I will print it after your season is over. And they lost to Philly. And before I could print it, Don Nelson traded Marcus Johnson to the Clippers for Terry Cummings, Pierce, and I believe Hodges. I'm not exactly sure. You know, great, pretty good trade for Milwaukee, right? And Carl Shear, after seeing my story, appealed. He was the general manager of the Clippers. He appealed to the NBA to have the trade negated because he said, I had no idea that happened. You know, nobody told me. The league thought about it for, an hour or two. I don't know how. It was pretty fast decision. The league said, no, the trade stands. So after that, I never trusted Nelly again. I felt he really owed me to let me know that he was going to do that before I, after I wrote my story. But obviously he couldn't. He couldn't have made that trade then. So anyway, I never trusted him again. And then there was a minor incident where I branded Mickey Johnson. You remember him? Anybody?
I don't.
All right. Mickey Johnson was a great player, passer, shooter. Just he could do everything. He was like 6'8", 6'9". He wound up playing for a number of teams, played for the Nets and stuff. I branded him point forward. And the next thing I know, Nelson is taking credit for that term. And I went to him and I said, Don, you know that's my term, And he said, tough shit. It's mine now. So okay, all right, that's fine. He plagiarized me, no problem. So even today, to this day, Marcus Johnson claims that he was the first point forward. And I've tried to explain to him that no, Marcus, you were not. It was Mickey Johnson. So he doesn't believe it. I think he even went to Mickey and asked him. Mickey knows the truth. But Marcus said, I saw something recently on I don't know where I saw him say, no, Vesey was wrong. It was me. I was the guy. Okay, Marcus. If I were your boss, I would have you tested again. Look
Peter,
at you, Rick.
Peter, I have a question.
The Vesey sarcasm.
When Marcus Johnson was traded, was he still in his prime or was he at the end of his career?
Yeah, he was in his prime. No, think about it. He's absolutely. He went from the Bucks to the Clippers. He had some good seasons with the Clippers. There's no question. Yeah. Cummings had some great seasons.
Oh, yeah.
I still, to this day, I believe Terry Cummings is a candidate for the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another story. But then, so he could still play. But the point is, you should know, you should do your research, you should know, who you're getting in a trade. It's it's not drugs involved, but did Toronto know what they were getting? With Leonard? Well, no, they didn't. So now the trade is off, and what will be proved regarding Leonard? Will the league prove that the Clippers were paying him in an unscrupulous way? Certainly seems that way. And will Leonard be suspended? He could be suspended for life, for crying out. I mean, my goodness. Talk about circumventing the cap.
I'm talking
when Minnesota circumvented the cap regarding what's his name? I'm not going to be able to call
Joe
his
Smith.
name.
Joe Smith.
Right? Joe Smith. Stern took away 5 number 1 picks because he was theirs, but they signed him illegally for the future. Found out about it, suspended the owner, suspended the lawyer, suspended McHale, wound up giving them back 2 number 1 picks. Yep. I've always contended they really could have screwed Minnesota by making them keep Joe Smith.
Another singer. All right, Dwight, come on in here, man. I love it.
You mentioned the aforementioned Terry Cummings. There's several other players that I want to ask you about, Peter. If you think they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I'll give you 3 players: Mark Price, Eddie Johnson, and Tom Chambers. Do those 3, have they done enough in your experience to deserve Hall of Fame? Are they Hall of Fame worthy in your opinion?
Eddie Johnson and I are really tight, but no.
Okay.
Really tight. He tried out for NBC when I was there, and I really thought they should have hired him as my partner, and they didn't. But I remember taking him out to eat after and we were in Manhattan. They took him out to eat, great restaurant, and my wife at the time fell asleep at the table. And I tried to tell Eddie, I said, well, I guess that proves they were right not taking you. Like you would have people falling asleep on the TV set. But anyway, great guy, great shooter. No. Chambers, he's on the bubble for sure. I remember being in Phoenix one night, seeing him get 50. And Cotton Fitzsimmons took him out of the game with 4 or 5 minutes to go. And I'm saying, what are you doing, Cotton? Let's see if he can get 60. But boy, he was a great scorer, excellent rebounder, tough guy. Who'll ever forget, the fact when he punched out the trainer, the physical guy, the guy that lifted weights with him. He punched him out in the locker room. Okay, Tom,
strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, punched him out. Tough guy, 6'10". He was the first guy, you probably don't remember, he was the first free agent ever signed in the NBA. Wow. Signed at midnight by Phoenix. He was in Utah. And of course, Jerry Colangelo, there was no tampering, of course, midnight at the Oasis. And they just happened to get Tom Chambers at midnight. Okay. Jerry never stepped over the line, more than 10 or 110,000 times. But on the bubble, I would say, I would be tempted. Price, absolutely. One of the most underrated players in NBA history. Amazingly, Cleveland, and there's so many stories with him. Amazingly, Cleveland, kept him instead of Kevin Johnson, traded Kevin Johnson to the Suns. They were both drafted, I believe, the same year. Kevin might have been there 1 year before, but traded Kevin, kept Mark. I mean, what a player! He underrated by me too. I mean, I just did not appreciate him in print as much as I should have. Sensational shooter. Great distributor. Team player. Great defensively. What the hell? What else is there? So yeah, they don't never mention his name. There are others though. I was going to bring up Mark Aguirre.
Yeah,
I feel strongly about Mark Aguirre. He to me is the second coming of Earl Monroe, because Earl Monroe, when he joined the Knicks, he totally sacrificed his game. People have no idea. I'm not good on numbers. I'm not sure. But I think he only averaged 13 a game his first year with the Knicks. Totally sacrificed his game so Walt Frazier could be the man in the backcourt. Everyone said it was not going to work, and it worked. And that's what Aguirre did with the Pistons. He came for Dantley. Dantley obviously did not get along with Isaiah. To this day, they would cut each other's throats if the other one wasn't looking. No, I think Dantley would actually do it to his face. But so Dantley didn't want to share the small forward position with Dennis Rodman. Chuck Daly had let him know. Rodman's moved up in status. We need his defense. We need his rebounding. So you're going to split minutes. And Dantley was not for that at all. So they traded him. And here we have Aguirre, who had made the All-Star team a couple times. He was the number 1 pick of the draft the year Isaiah was number 2. He was, in college, he was the Naismith Player of the Year. He took DePaul to the Final Four as a rookie, as a freshman. All right, so he comes, his minutes go down at least 10 minutes a game, and they win 2 championships. Just like Monroe won a championship with the Knicks. You know, here are the Pistons winning their only 2 championships. Not their only 2. They had another one later on with Larry Brown. But you know, the first 2 championships. And so he was a huge part of that. And yeah, of course his statistics suffered, but all because of sacrifice. That guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed.
Love it. Earl Monroe's first season in New York, Peter. This is amazing because he had like all-stars and MVP votes after this, but his first full year in New York, he played 60 games, started only 8 of them. He was a bench player his first full season with the Knicks.
Dick Barnett.
Averaged 11.
Dick Barnett.
There you go. Averaged 11.4 PPG.
Okay, 11.4, pretty close. 13, I said.
Very close. Very close.
Okay.
Very close. No, that was spot on, man. Ashley, come on in here. What you got?
Hi, Peter. Welcome to the show. It's good to see you.
About time you say something.
I know. I've been sitting here for about 30 minutes and I haven't said a word, which is surprising because I never shut up once I'm allowed to speak. But you've been around the league longer than most. Who was the most difficult superstar that you've ever had to deal with?
Wow. Oh, man, that's a great question. But, man, I could come up with a number of them.
Yeah, let's hear it. We got time.
I mean,
we got time.
You got time. There were a number of guys that were just you didn't want to ask them a question. You didn't want to be around them. But amazingly, one of the worst guys that I ever interviewed was John Stockton. And he just did not want to give it up. I remember NBC sending me out to Salt Lake City for a feature, and we sit down. John and I sit down. He knew it was coming. He agreed to do it. We sit down, and I asked him like 3 questions, and I told the cameraman to shut off the camera.
Oh, no.
And I said to John, look, John, I just traveled from New York to Salt Lake City. This is going to be a halftime feature this coming Sunday or whenever. And I need you to answer my question. Give me something, give me something. And he wound up he did give me something. He started telling me about how his brother and he used to get into fist fights in the driveway and, gave me a lot of personal stuff. And that was it, basically, for the rest of the career. Like, if I would pass him in the hall, he wouldn't even say hello. He's like, John, come on, come back to me, brother. So I gave up trying to talk to him. The only time he actually came over to me was during an All-Star game, and I told us that during my speech, he was there. He went into the Hall of Fame the day that I was inducted, and we'll have to talk about that at some point. So he came over to me at the pool in Phoenix. I guess it was 95, and we're all staying at the same place. He walked over with his brother, and he said to me, "That was a great line you had in your column the other day." I said, "Whoa," And the line was, as if I think I can remember it, is that he had broken the assist record in the NBA, and I said that he gives it up more than Madonna.
Oh, man.
And he liked that.
God.
And Stockton liked that one.
No, he liked it. And I said that during my whole fame speech. That was the only other time we spoke. No, I take it back. He gave me one of the best quotes that I never forgot. I take it back. It was after a playoff game. He won a playoff game. It was a big playoff game. Maybe he was beating one of the better teams. And he made a great shot at the end of the game. And it was very, very atypical of him to take the shot. Usually he's looking for Malone, or who else was on that team? Well, call Hornacek. So I went to him afterward and I said, I said, that was, so atypical of you to take that shot. And he said to me, sometimes you got to be selfish for the good of the team. I never forgot that because I've used that numerous times, quoting him because other players, perfect. I mean, like, yeah, unfortunately, if he had that kind of substance to share, I'm sorry I didn't get it from him. I'm sorry. I don't know if anybody got it from him. Who else? Who else was tough? Who else? Elvin Hayes was very difficult. Wes Unseld was very difficult. Very difficult. Yeah, I remember talking to him about, if I can remember it, I voted for the MVP of the 78 finals was down to it was either Unseld, Elvin Hayes, or in retrospect, Bobby Dandridge said he deserved it and let everybody know about it, including me. He said, you screwed me. So I had one of 5 votes. And they just came along the press table, 5 votes. And, I think it was Brian McIntyre was the PR guy, I think. And he came to me, he said, 2-2, Elvin and Unseld. Who are you voting for? And I said, Unseld. And in retrospect, Dandridge deserved it. He really did. You look at the stats. Look what he did defensively. Look what he did offensively. Tremendous. In clutch situations. So, years later or something, Unseld and I were talking about it, and I said to him, hey, I'm the guy that voted for you, that got you the MVP, and he said, yeah, I'm still angry about that. I said, what? He said, yeah, I went into, I got a car for it. I had to pay the taxes on it. I think I went into another category in my, I said, are you serious? Yeah, okay. Nice talking to you, Wes.
You can't please everybody, huh?
Oh my goodness! Even being positive, I screwed up. Man.
No, that's that should have been better received. B-Dot, come on in here, man. What you got?
Of course, Ashley took my question. I was going to literally ask him who was the hardest player or coach to get some information from. But
okay, information. No. Let me give you information.
Okay,
that's a great question. Information. I got a great story. So, when I started covering the NBA, I was covering the ABA for years, and everybody was like, they'll tell you who they were with last night. They didn't care. Like everybody's sharing info. We didn't care, including the writers. Yeah. Well, yeah, so was I. So, okay. So I'm covering the Knicks now, and they don't give up spit. In fact, one of my first road trips was in Toronto, I believe, and the PR guy comes over to me after the game. He said, all the writers are going out to eat with Red Holzman after the game. And, we'd like you to join us, but the rule is, like, everything at the table is off the record. And I said, no, thank you. And so I was on their shit list. And so, no, I didn't play that game. So I'm from the ABA. What are you talking? Off the record? I never heard that term before. What is that? So every day when I was covering the Knicks, if we were on the road, I would always go to the team bus maybe 20 minutes before you were supposed to leave. And Red Holzman was always there. He was with his watch. He'd look, and sometimes he decided to leave early. He says, well, we're on Holzman time now. They're not here on time. But Red, it's 15 minutes. You're leaving 15 minutes early. Tough shit. We're leaving. And so anyway, so for 20 minutes, I would usually have him to talk to alone, outside the bus. And he'd be asking me questions about the ABA players. What about this guy? What about that guy? And this coach and that coach, and this. So, and I would tell him everything I knew. And then I would say to him, hey, Red, well, let me ask you a question about so and so. He said, Pete, I don't talk about that stuff.
Come on, man.
I swear to God, I just unloaded.
Come on.
No, I respected him for it. I swear I respected him for it because he did not. He was not a guy that would leak information to the media, not to make himself look good or to make a player look bad. I'm talking about Doc Rivers. He was good at that. And yeah, so no, I totally respect him. And then when Red retired, we became very, very tight. We would go out on triple dates. Me and my ex now go out. Danny Whalen and his wife, the trainer, and Red and Selma Holtzman, and we would go out. And I'm telling you, those it was tremendous stories. Uh, yeah, I loved Red Holtzman, and the players loved him too because they all knew that he might have ripped them in the locker room and then go and talk to the media and say, yeah, that the other team played great, and we got to do better. Well, thanks for that quote, Red. I'm going to lead with that one, So anyway, that question was great.
Peter, let me ask
you. You cost me a chapter in my book, but that's okay.
Go ahead, B-Dot. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just had one more question. Peter, you knew Wilt Chamberlain personally and had conversations with him, long after his playing days. What do younger generations misunderstand about how dominant Wilt really was?
Well, it's a shame, and I'm sure they don't do their homework. It shows up, and I have to listen to, players or coaches, the Laker coach when he was on the air talking about, plumbers and whatever else he called them that, played in the old days. I don't think he ever referred to Wilt as that. But look, Wilt was in a category all his own. He would dominate anybody and everybody. He dominated Bill Russell. There's no question about it. You look at what he did to him, and did they win championships? Well, they won once when he was in Philly, and then with the Lakers. But Russell was in '67 when Philly won. I think they beat Boston in the semifinals. But people think he's just a dunker. Well, look at the film. He tried to make things more difficult for himself. He would take fadeaway jump shot bankers. It was like, it's insane what he would do. 7'1", 7'2", so athletic, so strong. Yeah, it's pitiful that the younger generation does not appreciate what he could do. And I've used this quote more than once because I'm so proud of it. But the last time that I saw Wilt, we were receiving an award together in Harlem, and we sat together for the whole All-Star game of old timers. Like Tiny played, Meminger played, Earl Manigault played, and he and I sat there together, and it was a great. I'm sitting there saying, I hope somebody got a camera. I really want a picture of us sitting together. That never happened, but even when we got the award, I never got a picture of us together. But anyway, I'm asking him questions. He's telling me stuff. But the last thing he said to me was, don't ever let people forget. He said, you covered us. You're one of the few people that covered us. Don't ever let people forget how great we were. We. He didn't say me. He said we. And boom, yeah.
Man, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Peter, let's go back to 2009. You, as we see Wilt with the 100, I'm not even going to bring up the Bam out of bio memes. I'm not even going to bring them up. I guess I just did. But Peter, back in 2009, you were inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame with a Kurt Gowdy Media Award for print media. And so take us back into that. Like, how long did it take to write the speech? How much ad-libbing occurred off of the scripted speech when you were actually giving the speech? Take us into that, Peter.
I had no script. I had no no. I had no script. I just went off the top of my head as it's if you heard it, it plays that way. Um, certainly it was not well received by a lot of people, but the people who I pumped up, some of the ones I mentioned just now, they all came to thank me at some point, and. Let me just say that several things. So first of all, I was going to turn it down. I told the guy when he called me, I really wanted no part of it because it pissed me off that it took so long. It was absolutely a vendetta. People that went in there before me, it was a joke. Um, anyway, yeah, I had a chip on my shoulder the size of a manhole cover. And so I decided to accept it for the main reason is that I felt that if I went in, that maybe I would get on some of those committees or a committee that would be able to vote the people that I'm talking about into the Hall of Fame. And as it turned out, I did get on two of those committees, and I did have a huge influence on getting those guys in. Jamal went in after my committee, but absolutely Dennis Johnson. And I know I was the reason Dennis Rodman went in because I argued it in front of. We had 9 people in the room, and they didn't want to put him in. Jerry Colangelo was in the room. He was worried that if we put Dennis Rodman in, he'd show up at the ceremony in a dress. So he was scared of that. Yeah, seriously, yeah, Rick. Yeah, that's what he said. I'm quoting. That's what he said. So anyway, I argued for him, and we passed him, and he got in. But so the speech is what it is. Sam Smith says to this day, he said, "Yeah, but Pete, everyone, people say they hate it and stuff, but you're the only speech people remember." I said, "Yeah, okay." So now years later, I'm on another committee. Colangelo put me in charge of an ABA committee, and there were 7 of us, I believe. It was David Thompson, Gervin, Hubie Brown, Costas. Sorry if I can't remember the others. There were a couple. Another one was a writer, and I was in charge. Rick Barry, and I was in charge of it. It was a joke. It was a joke. Like I'm in charge of. I'm supposed to like be the top of a committee, and with those guys like Hubie. I'm gonna like tell Hubie, "Well, excuse me, Hubie, let somebody else talk, Bob, for a change. Like Rick, calm down, Rick. Like anyway. So the first guy we put in was Artist Gilmore, first year. The second year, we were going with Mel Daniels, and Mel had told me that he did not want to go in the Hall of Fame, and I never really pressed him on why. But I'm saying, Mel, you deserve it. 3 championships, ABA. 2 MVPs, I believe. He was to me he was the best center. Artist didn't play enough to be the best center. Long enough to be the best center. Mel was there from the outset, from '67 on, and won 3, almost won 4. So anyway, I talked him into accepting the award, and he did. And so he, when we announced it and stuff, he wanted me to be a presenter, which to me was like better than being inducted into the media. Was I was going to be a presenter. And Jerry Colangelo said, "No, you can't be a presenter because you're not in the Hall of Fame." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "No, you're in the media part of the Hall of Fame, but you're not in the Hall of Fame." I put my trophy up for auction the next day.
Wow.
He wouldn't let me be a presenter for Mel Daniels, one of my best friends ever. Mel couldn't make it. He was sick. Died shortly thereafter, heart problem in his truck. And unfortunately, the motor was running, but it was not in gear. It was on his farm. So that was it. So I've really had no use for the Hall of Fame ever since. It's a joke. So we in the Hall of Fame or we not? No. It's a media wing. So they can have a Friday where they put the media people in and make more money that day. But you're not in the Hall of Fame. And even during that day that I went in the Hall of Fame, 2000, I was never put next to Jordan. Jordan went in, Sloan, Stockton, David Robinson. I mean, come on, that was a hell of a crew. Never
Yeah.
got a picture with them. They never put us together. Doug Collins went in for the media, for the TV, and unfortunately, they did put us together. But yeah. So that's my story, and there goes another chapter.
The storytelling is legendarily elite. We have time for one more question for Peter, if anybody wants to jump in here.
I mean, I wanted to order myself how you go about, I guess, balancing those relationships, right? Because obviously you have a job to do, reporting the news and reporting on different stories throughout the NBA. But then there's guys like John Stockton who run away from you when they see you coming. And I'm sure there was other players too.
He ran away from everybody.
Who were like, oh, yeah, not this guy again.
No.
How do you balance
I don't think it was
that?
personal. He didn't give it up to anybody. Your question is really what I think about when you ask that question is the woman who was exposed being in a pool with I know it's a man and a woman, with the coach of New England. What's her name?
Diana Russini.
Diana Russini.
Diana Russini.
Okay. All right. So all I'm thinking about throughout that whole thing is how many times, I understand it's male, female, how many times was I in situations that were compromising, that I saw stuff that I never should have seen, heard stuff I never should have heard, and never printed it? How many times could I have been fired under those same circumstances? Wait a minute, what conflict of interest? I was taught when I first started covering covering for real that you had to have at least 2 conflicts of interest to be successful. Well, I probably had 1,000. Julius Erving was the best man at my wedding. I mean, it went to that extent. Like I was out with the boys. I was out all night with them. I was at parties where there were drugs being done and stuff. I knew stuff. So I don't know. I don't really. Did she have an affair with the coach? Maybe. But you could say that I had affairs with all those people I was with because I was in the middle of it. So I kind of fell for her.
I personally don't think she should have been fired. And the whole idea.
She quit.
Well, she quit, but she probably was kind of forced. I mean, I don't know the whole thing, but
yeah, maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe. But to me, that's not grounds for losing your job. But in the whole, people wanted Mike Vrabel to be fired or step down. Why? Yeah, it's why.
Yeah,
no, keep your job, bro.
Yeah, I mean the guys that get the biggest stories in the NFL. What's his name? The guy from ESPN. I mean, you think he's got a few conflicts of interest?
Adam Schefter for sure.
I'm saying allegedly, but I know how it works. I know what it takes to get stories. You can't get your stories. I got a lot on the phone, but you can't get your biggest stories by staying in your room or staying in the office. You got to be out there on the street, and I love that. I love being in the team bus, on the team plane, in the team hotel, at the team club afterward.
Right.
Well, it's how they trust you. It's how they learn to trust you when you're also putting yourself in those situations too. They're like, okay, now we got something on you. Like, so.
I don't think they're thinking they have something on me, but it's absolutely right. It is trust. And I remember Brian Taylor saying that about, we'd be in a club and stuff, and he'd be looking at me and say, "What the hell? You know, what is Vesey doing out with that? What is going on?" And so that happened a lot, and it's taken a lot for. I mean, I did. If I ever do write my book, I will reveal stuff that I should have printed and didn't. But that means outing myself, and I'm all for that. No problem. I don't think people would be surprised.
You don't want to give us one of those little pieces of nuggets right now?
I've given you stuff already.
Save it for the book, Pete.
Yeah.
Save it for the book.
Okay,
Save it
we'll
for
wait
the
for
book.
the book,
I gave enough.
I guess.
No, I don't know
Now
about
I'm getting
the book.
greedy. I'm getting
Yeah.
greedy now.
Yeah.
Peter, I
Okay.
appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
No.
All the years, all the decades. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, Rick, you're the reason I'm on here. I don't do them really anymore. So,
Thank you.
Appreciate that,
Thank you.
Peter. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Peter,
Thank you.
the storytelling's amazing. Thank you so much, man. I'll be in touch.
Later. Take care. Bye.
The great Peter Vesey.
He's a great.
All right.
He's amazing.
So,
bro.
Yeah, 100%.
Go ahead, B-Dot.
So he's amazing every time. Just what is a filter? Like, I love it. I love it. And he did your thing on that, Rick.
I appreciate it. So did you guys. You guys asked phenomenal questions, you and Ashley, man. I mean, look, let me tell you something about Peter Vesey. Peter Vesey does not believe in throwaway compliments. They do not come out of his mouth. If he compliments you, it's a compliment. You know how people say, like, nice job, and they have no idea if you did a nice job?
Yeah.
Like, if Peter Vesey says great question, it was in fact a great question. He does not, and he'll tell you, wow, that question sucked. I mean, you heard him for 45 minutes. He will literally tell you, yeah, that, anyway, love Peter
I had
Vesey,
another
man.
one too. I was going to go deep in my bag, but it was a Hall of Fame question.
And also, what's crazy, he could have, as we say today, spilled some serious tea if he wanted to, because you can tell he's holding back some stuff.
Yes.
There's no
Yeah,
question.
for sure.
He could have outed some people today if he wanted to. 1,000%.
Peter, as they say, knows where the bodies are buried.
Oh,
He knows where
Yes.
all the bodies are buried. And one more thing, Peter Vesey, and probably still to this day, was boys with Adam Silver. Okay. And I heard this back when Adam was the deputy commissioner to David Stern. All right. So if Peter's boys with Adam Silver, number 2 in charge of the NBA, do you think Peter pretty much knows everything? The answer to that is yes. But as he was saying that, right, it's like being backstage. Like if you have backstage passes to your favorite band, right? And the band is back there and they're partying and maybe they go into and just doing rock and roll stuff, right? Like the last thing you do is like leave there and tell those stories, right? You leave it there. That it's just, you just got to understand kind of who you're hanging with and how to be cool. All right. Guys, we are going to do our top 5 Hall of Fame snubs next week. We went a little long with Peter, rightly so. But your homework was not in vain. Okay, we're going to do that next week. Our top 5 Hall of Fame snubs. So let's get to the rant and let's get out of here. And I'll get us started here. And it's short and sweet this week. The opening night triple header was announced. Okay, and the first game at 3 p.m. Eastern time is just about the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. It's as bad as that stupid ball that they brought in for half a year that was cutting up all the point guards' fingers and a bunch of other stupid like any decision that Kathy Engelbert makes, okay, is just dumb. All right, are you serious right now? The first game of the 26-27 NBA season will be played on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. That means it's noon on the West Coast. Do you no longer care about ratings? Here's what's going on. This is an absolutely catastrophically terrible idea. It's not even that good of a game. It's Boston at Detroit. No Brown on Boston. And trust me, guys, Detroit is coming out of the top 6. You heard it here first. They will not be a top 6 team this year. They are going to be in the play-in tournament. You heard it here first. The Detroit Pistons will be in the play-in tournament. But think about it, guys. It's also the school year, okay? What happens with parents when their kids go back to school? It's mayhem. Your life just gets sped up. So if you didn't have time for 3 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday, NBA opener, just being an attorney or a teacher or a cop or whatever, you're sure as damn well not going to have time for it now that it's school season. I mean, I like the nighttime games, guys. I like the nighttime games. 2 bangers, okay? Well chosen. I think you got Knicks and Sixers. You got Braun out there, and then you got Wemby and SGA. Okay, nice job. But, what is the deal with this? But remember we were complaining about in the first round, stupid-ass Peacock was overlapping games, right? And it was like, why are you doing this? It's so stupid. It's Peacock trying to reinvent the wheel, okay? Yo, Peacock, why don't you reinvent some of your talent that's on the air? Oh, I'll leave you with that. But this is an absolutely dreadful decision. Absolutely dreadful. Ashley, go ahead.
This whole Kawhi Leonard situation is driving me insane that the league is taking 9 years to figure out what the hell is going on. All right, we've been waiting over a year now for them to make a decision and to do their investigation.
Ashley, I bet Peter Vesey knows exactly what's going on with Kawhi Leonard. Go ahead.
We should have asked him about all this. I know, we should have. Because, we just need to get to the bottom of if this is really happening, what's going to happen to Kawhi Leonard, what's going to happen to the Clippers. I mean, clearly there's something going on. Pablo knows what he's talking about. But it's just getting out of hand. We've been sitting on this story now for over a year, and then even more is coming out. And I don't know what Adam Silver's been doing. I know you're busy, but this is kind of a big deal, and it's not going away. No matter how much you're not gonna, let us know what's going on, we're gonna find out. So at this point, hopefully it's figured out before the season starts. I want to know what's gonna happen to Kawhi. I want to know what's gonna happen to the Clippers. And I just be done with it. He just keeps putting it off. They'll forget about it. But clearly it's a big deal. And it's not okay. So figure it out, Adam Silver. Let's just move on from this mess, okay? I'm sick of hearing it in the news every other week. So that's my rant for today.
Ashley, I just want to piggyback with this. You asked what Adam Silver is doing. I know the answer to this question. Dwight Walton, would you like to insert the punchline that was about to come out of my mouth of why Adam is so busy and what Adam is doing right now? Do you know where I'm going, Dwight?
No, I don't.
Oh,
I really don't.
Okay. I thought you were in my dome again. He's not. Adam Silver, of course, is doing Kathy Engelbert's job because she's so incompetent. He is literally running 2 leagues right now. He runs the NBA and the Dub. Okay, because it's way over Kathy Engelbert's head. I've said this. Adam, homie, make a move. Get your life back, bro. Get your life back. Hire a better commissioner, delegate, and angels will be singing. You will not have to do that job anymore. Get it right, Adam. All right, Dwight Walton, you're up.
I want to say 2 things before I start my rant here. The reason why they're doing the 3 p.m. game on that Tuesday, they want the global audience, the European audience, to have a primetime game in that market. That's part of the reasoning. And Ashley, if you were listening to Peter sort of gave us a little nugget in regards to the Kawhi Leonard situation. He did say that the trade is off. If you were listening,
we knew that. We knew that, though.
So the thing, but
I
don't think that's been made. I don't think that's been made official yet. Has it been made official that the trade
I don't think
has
so.
been rescinded?
I don't believe that's official
I thought
yet.
I read that. I read it somewhere. Yeah, I thought the trade was off.
So
let me look that up.
I thought that as well. But anyways, I think Adam Silver is taking his time with this because he knows he has to get it right. Remember, there is precedent that, and Peter spoke about it. Kevin McHale was suspended. The owner was suspended. They took away 5 first-round picks. That's the floor for Steve Ballmer, the Clippers, and Kawhi Leonard. That's the floor. A punishment has to come here. And again, I need to say this. The NBA didn't stop the trade. The Raptors delayed the trade because the Raptors are asking, why do we have to assume Kawhi Leonard's punishment? So they've held off on finishing off the trade. That's why ultimately I believe what we're all thinking. I think common sense is going to say that the trade will be rescinded, but we'll wait for the official word. But my rant is, and I want to continue my WNBA theme. Let's stick to basketball and cut out the controversy. Let's stick to hoops. I'm not even going to mention the controversies. Let's understand that the top 8 teams in the WNBA make the playoffs. They don't go by conferences. Why do I bring that up? Positions 4 through 8 are separated by a game and a half. Let's pay attention to that. Let's pay attention to how great the Golden State Valkyries are playing in their second season of existence. Let's understand how great Shakira Austin and the Washington Mystics have been playing up until the other night when Asia Wilson stared Shakira Austin straight in the face and said, I understand how great you're playing. I'm going to knock you down a peg. Let's understand how great the Las Vegas Aces are playing. And I'm going to maintain and stay on this bandwagon. As great as Asia Wilson is and how she's playing this season, and I know that most odds makers have Asia Wilson as the most valuable player today. But as far as I'm concerned, Olivia Miles is going to win the Rookie of the Year unanimously, and she should win overwhelmingly the most valuable player as well. I get it. Asia Wilson, her stats are off the charts, and Las Vegas is in second. But Olivia Miles has stirred the drink and driven that train for the Minnesota Lynx all season long without their best player, Nafisa Collier, who has now played, 9 total games for the season? Why do the Lynx have the best record in the W? It starts and ends with Olivia Miles. She's the Rookie of the Year unanimously, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no debate. Olivia Miles is also the W's most valuable player. Let's just keep it at that. Let's talk basketball. Let's stay away from all the nonsense that social media and, quite frankly, the American government wants us to focus on. I think it's wrong. Let's just focus on basketball. End of discussion.
Ooh, we kind of got a little taste of a conspiracy theory from Dwight right there. I'm listening. I like it. The Kawhi Leonard trade has not been rescinded. It's still in limbo. It has not officially been rescinded. So it's a who the hell knows situation right now. B-Dot, bring us home, man.
One point before I start my rant, Jazz, Chisholm. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I know it's Jazz, plays for the Yankees.
Bro, yeah, you got it right, Jazz Chisholm.
Jazz Chisholm.
Stop challenging every ball you think that's not a strike, bro. Like, you're killing me.
Thank you, B-Dot. Thank you.
You gotta come on, man. Like,
thank you.
He has a 30% success rate. He's only got it right 7. Like, I love the confidence of an African-American male in a predominantly non-African-American sport, and he's doing his thing, but you're not bigger than the program. You only get 2 challenges a game, and if you get it right, granted, You keep it, but stop it. Stop, bro. Stop. You were 7 for 21. You terrible. Like, okay, let me get into my rant. Let's bring it home.
Yeah.
All right. I got to give Russell Westbrook his flowers because I feel somewhere along the way people have gotten way too comfortable disrespecting this man. Russ retired, okay? And I don't want to hear the first thing out your mouth. Yeah, he never won a ring, bro. Shut up. All right. Do y'all understand? Do y'all understand what we watched for almost 2 decades? Russell Westbrook played every possession like somebody told his family they couldn't eat if he lost the game. That man is 6'3", attacking the rim like a center owed him money. And the triple doubles, y'all got so spoiled that Russ would have 28, 13, and 12, and people would be like, yeah, but he's stat padding. Stat padding. If you getting 15 rebounds as a point guard, that's not easy. Why the hell wasn't everybody else doing it? Like my man Dwight said, this man averaged a triple-double for an entire season, 4 of them. Then basically said, oh, y'all think that was a fluke? Let me do it 3 more times. 4 seasons averaging a triple-double, 209 career triple-doubles, the most ever. And I think what I respect most about Russ is that Russ never cheated us. You bought a ticket to see Russell Westbrook, you were getting Russell Westbrook. Tuesday night in Charlotte, Russ is playing. Back-to-back in February, Russ playing hard. Team down 20, Russ still coming downhill like somebody stole his backpack, okay? And yeah, later in his career, everybody wanted to focus on the missed jumpers, the turnovers, the Lakers situation, whatever. But don't let that end of somebody's career make you forget prime Russ. Prime Russell Westbrook was one of the most terrifying athletes basketball has ever seen. MVP, 9-time All-Star, 2 scoring titles, 3 assist titles, NBA 75, Olympic gold medalist. And more importantly, he made playing hard look cool. Young hoopers wanted the arm sleeves. They wanted the explosive dunks. They wanted to scream after and one. You feel me? They wanted to snatch the rebound and go. That was Russ. Was he perfect? Hell no. But I'd rather have a player make mistakes going 100 miles per hour than watch somebody with all the talent in the world play like they don't give a damn. So congratulations, Brody. You're one of one. There will be other athletic point guards. There will be other triple-double machines, but there will never be another Russell Westbrook. Why not? The Hall of Fame is next. We appreciate you, Russ.
I like the why not thing as well. That's a big thing for us. It's been a big thing for me in my life. I loved hearing throughout this episode that Kobe was a huge fan of Russell. Because those they're both in my top 5 favorite players all the time. It matches, right? It's not surprising, but I didn't know that Kobe literally went out of his way to talk up Russ, to Peter Vesey back in the day. Game knows game. Hustle knows hustle. Grit and knows grit and Kobe and Russ both certainly had that. Ashley,
Rick,
Dwight, go ahead.
If I could just say one more thing, in regards to Jazz Chisholm, this whole they put me off the screen. Come on, like the two things I hate the most: NBA players twirling their fingers and baseball players tapping their head. Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
As should.
I love you. Dwight had to get that off his chest. I love it. And don't get Dwight started on the Montreal Expos. Don't you do it, okay?
No, don't.
All right. We are out, ladies and gentlemen. One of the dopest hats of all time, by the way. I got to give a huge shout out to Jason and Kai behind the glass. They do killer work all the time. Big thanks to Peter Vesey for joining us. For Ashley, for Dwight, for Dot, I am Cam. We will see you next Thursday on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Peace.
Let's talk about it.